A rare Sunday matchup in Las Vegas, LSU versus USC. Let's talk about it. Give a prediction at the end. For starters, both teams lose their Heisman-winning quarterbacks. USC loses Caleb Williams, the first pick in the draft. And then right next to him, Jaden Daniels, the LSU quarterback, goes number 2. Those are big question marks for both teams. How will both of their new quarterbacks perform? Miller Moss for USC had a great bowl game last year, and Garrett Nussmeier also played pretty well when given the opportunity to do so last year for LSU. Both of these teams have in-house offenses, not a ton of transfers, but the two of note, CJ Daniels, a 1,000-yard receiver from Liberty, comes to LSU, and Woody Marks, a pretty dynamic running back, comes from Mississippi State. He'll probably be getting the start for USC, but where I think this game gets decided is the trenches. And LSU is elite on the offensive line. They have the two best left and right tackles in college football. Emory Jones and Will Campbell will help this LSU offensive line destroy USC's front seven. USC and Lincoln Riley, the head coach for the team, have never had elite defenses. And I definitely think this is the matchup that you do not want to have that problem at. LSU is going to run the football. They're going to be able to protect the quarterback. Last but not least, when talking about the trenches, USC has a very talented offensive lineman in Jonah Monheim, one of the best centers in the entire country, but that's about it. The rest of their offensive line is nothing to write home about, in my opinion. Now, LSU's defense, especially their front seven, had some issues last year. They run a 3-3-5, but USC is not a pound the rock type of team. I definitely think that will not be something that you can sniff out when thinking about how this USC team will perform. Now, in the passing game, LSU loses two major weapons in the first round, Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors. That's a big factor when thinking about how they're going to be able to, A, take the top off of this USC defense, or B, get the ball to a playmaker. But they have Kyron Lacey and CJ Daniels, very talented receivers. And then one of the most, dependable tight ends in college football, Mason Taylor. I think those are pretty damn good weapons for Garrett Nussmeier, a new starting quarterback. On the USC side of things, one of the most dynamic playmakers in college football, Zachariah Branch, pairs up with Deuce Robinson, another wide receiver. Last year, however, only 670 total yards combined between the two with receiving. I don't think that is going to be something that USC could take advantage of over LSU. Now, LSU's secondary was atrocious last season. They both, honestly, USC's defense was also atrocious. Both of them gave up over 250 yards in the air. I don't necessarily think that those questions have been answered, but LSU's DBs were very young last year. They've gotten some experience. They'll be back again. I think the difference makers for this game is the fact that Caleb Williams was in the ultimate Band-Aid for this USC team. I mean, they went 7-5 last year in the regular season. I think they finished 8-5 overall, but he covered so many problems for this offense, and he definitely covered for this defense, who was god-awful last year. Although Miller Moss is pretty talented, he's not as good as Caleb Williams, let's face it. And I think a lot of these problems with USC are going to show. Now, LSU, while yes, they lose a ton of weapons and talent on their offense, they're going to rebrand, in my opinion. I think that's important, thinking about having holes in your offense versus rebranding. That's where I think both teams are at. Prediction-wise, LSU is going to dominate this game. There's only a 4.5-point spread, but this to me is going to be a blowout. Lincoln Riley has been battling the hot seat over the last 6 or 7 months, and I think that this comes to roost this game. I don't think this is going to be the defense that he expects it to be. Everybody saw a bunch of transfers coming in and thought maybe USC's defense will step up, but the front seven is going to get dominated by this LSU offensive line. Their LSU defense, more experience, will step up. My final score prediction, 45-10 LSU. We have not seen USC step up in a first game like this in a very long time, and I do not think this is the year for them to do it. 45-10 LSU takes this game home on Sunday and hits Caesars Casino right after. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to tune in on Sunday. We're going to do a recap, and we'll see you next time.